game passed down and it's more than one way. But I could see the hate in their eyes, what they gon' say. When you start to wake up and go and collect your prize, pray patience with the family. Hey, now do the work. Accountability hurts. He walking in his purpose, adds value to the work. She want a revolutionary, get on code necessary. Put in practice what we study to defeat the adversary. So what? Speak the truth, we need our own establishments. If you grow your own food, true black empowerment. Let the church say amen, hallelujah, thank the Lord. For my brothers that be on the same accord, let's score.
Life as a soldier, never mess with the rollers. I be smoking no okra. I'm dipping in folders, wake 'em up like some Folgers. Fake woke, we exposure. Knowledge born, yeah, I told you. You and your crew is scary. You move but moving barely. You shooting, don't be scary. Recruiting, then you bury. Revolutionary. Putting on for my people. Gatekeepers to leech ya. Meet you, greet you with heaters. Oh, we burst some profits. No work, no progress. Is it worth the profit to divert to false shit? Rapid fire, Cassius liar, cap suppliers. I don't like to rap about them. Watch those Judas with the black messiahs.
All right. That was Revolution. I Am Revolution. It's by our great brothers, our Black Fathers Committee. For sure. Let's get into it, man. This pre-recorded show is to talk about my up-and-coming article, Unplugging from the Eurocentric Matrix and Plugging into Your Ancestral Power. So a week or so ago, a week and a half ago, I did my normal runs and walk when I'm in the environment. I like to have a discussion, so I turn the camera on when I stop running or before I start running and I'm walking. So I had a discussion talking about what it looks like when you unplug from the Eurocentric Matrix and plug it into your ancestral power. So I talked about that. Didn't go too far into in depth, and so it sparked me to do a in-depth article, a 14 minute read on the article and the presentation. So this video is a presentation to the article, also to the discussion that I had when I was in the environment walking. So by the time you hear this, the article will be released. They will be released on the same day, right? So let's get into it. But first, for those who may not know, I am Kofi Piesie, a writer, a ghostwriter, an entrepreneur, a mentor, podcaster, publisher, amongst a long list of other things, right? So let's get into it, man. Not gonna hold y'all too long in it, but let's get into this presentation of unplugging from the Eurocentric Matrix and plugging into your ancestral power. Let me do this. Surgery. All right. I like that better. All right. So let's get into it. Unplugging from the unplugging from the Eurocentric Matrix and plugging into your ancestral power. A transformative journey from mental enslavement to ancestral awakening. Unplugging from the Eurocentric Matrix. Let me go here because one of my slides is out of place, but we're going to put that in there because I always definitely wants to give a disclaimer. So I always give a disclaimer when I'm out public speaking or doing lectures. I always want to give a disclaimer. So a disclaimer, I am not a teacher, but merely a student sharing information. And that information provided is for the educational purpose only. And if you are in doubt, do the research and have it verified by someone qualified. I reserve the right to change the focus of this presentation, to shut down, sell, or exchange the terms or use at my own discretion. All trademark, design rights, copyrights, registered names, mottos, logos, avatars, insignias, and marks used or cited by this are property of their respective owners. I reserve the right to add information as it comes available and or adapt, change, improve information as it comes available in the future. Inputs wanted, changes, additions, and deletions are encouraged. So again, I'm plugging from the Eurocentric Matrix and plugging into your ancestral power, a transformative journey from mental enslavement to ancestral awakening. So what is the Eurocentric Matrix, right? Let's give affirmative definition for that. Definition and impact definition. Not merely a cinematic concept, but a tangible system designed to maintain mental enslavement, disconnect individuals from their true selves, program beliefs contrary to African self-interest. The invisible web woven through Western education, religion, media, and societal norms, programming generations of African people to adopt beliefs and behavior contrary to their own. So let's get into some of the mechanisms, but keep those things in mind. Maintaining mental enslavement, disconnecting individuals from their true selves, and programming beliefs contrary to their African self-interest. Keep those in mind. But let's get into what the mechanisms of the matrix is, right? So education, the education system is one. Religion, indoctrination is another one. Media and norms is another one. I briefly talked about this when I was walking, doing the video, which inspired this presentation as well as the 13, 14-minute article that I also have provided on Kofi Piesie written composition blog site. But education system, what did it look like? Schools glorify European civilizations, Greeks and Romans as the birthplace. Centered white inventors and thinkers while ignoring African contributions. Portraying African ancestry as primitive despite Africans being the cradle of civilization. Early African libraries, universities, and legal systems predates European literacy. Religion indoctrination. Western religion, Judaism, Islam, and Christianity shapes the Black consciousness. Forces conversion through enslavement and colonization. White angels, prophets, saints, and God associated with divinity. In Islam, narrative shifts to Arab figures, distance from African identity. Media and norms, television programming reinforcing Eurocentric worldviews. Narrative defines success and acceptable beliefs within the Eurocentric framework. Systematic training leads to worshiping of the oppressor. Results in its self-hatred representing a deep level of programming. So these are some of the mechanisms, right? The education, the religion, and the norms, right? School teaching you about other individuals that made major contributions to the world. Even the images are portrayed as those who have oppressed us, correct? Also through the religion indoctrination, right? The the images as well. God is white. God's son is white. The angels is white. The prophets is white. The saints is white. Divinity is depicted as this whiteness, right? Um, all those things shaped our uh, consciousness, right? Even through the indoctrination of those biblical texts, you know what I'm saying? Through uh, one of those Western religions, as we call it, Judaism, Christianity, or Islam. Media norms, we know how they are portraying us through the media, right? And also conditioning other people outside of the Euro perspective of the Eurocentric matrix, you know what I'm saying, to think or have a perception about, African people worldwide, right? Um, let's get into it, man. The unplugging process, right? What does the unplugging process look like? It is the realization of the deception, right? You know, that comes, or that is a key or essential element when it comes to unplugging from the Eurocentric matrix, right? And that is recognition, identifying the deception, questioning, examining, establishing systems, relearning, adopting ancestral perspective. The awakening process. The unplugging begins where you recognize how historical narratives have been distorted. Education systems glorify European civilization while ignoring African contributions. Religious institutions teaching submission and validation through white imagery. Societal norms defining success within the Eurocentric framework. Steps to unplugging. The systematic approach to mental liberation. That is, 1, extensive reading, 2, critical reflection, and 3, speaking truth, right? Accurate books on African civilization. This is in the extensive reading section. Study spirituality and philosophy. Research 19th, 20th century Black intellectual. This is knowledge is the first step to freedom, to mental liberation, right? And later on, I'm going to give you a long list of reading material, you know what I'm saying, to go along with what I'm talking about when I'm talking about extensive reading. This is one step to unprogramming, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to give you a lot of books that liberated me, some of the Black intellectuals from the 19th century and some of the ones from the from the 21st century who are standing on the shoulders of those ancestors, of those national ancestors. To critical reflection is years of consistent study, right? Worldview shift. You have to shift your worldview and your perspective, right? You have to throw that old out. Experiencing anger from historical deception. This is something that you will experience. I've experienced it. Some of my colleagues experienced it. Some people I know right now are experiencing as they try to unshackle their mind, right? Free their dome, you know what I'm saying? And become mental liberated, have more self-awareness, more self-pride, changing their perspective, and their standards from this Eurocentric standard that we have been programmed and established to have, right? So the realization of portrayal by education and religion, right? Speaking truth. I put this up here, but sharing truth with your friends. Sharing truth with your friends, this could be tricky. Sharing truth with your friends can lead to so many different things, right? Because I know, once you start to require and obtain some of the knowledge that you're reading through these books, looking at some videos, reading some journals, reading some articles, possibly going to some events. You want to talk more to your friends about what you've learned and expose some of the lies and deception, what I'm saying, and the programming that you know, that has taken place amongst us, right? And sometimes sharing truth, and I'll get into that a little bit later of what sharing your truth can result to when you're sharing truth with your friends, but you want to tell them, that's just something that, once you become aware of these things, you want to share it with as many people as possible. Is it going to be received well? No, it's not. Speaking to family despite skepticism, right? You want to tell your friends, your family, but again, that comes with a lot of things when you're speaking truth and you're sharing the things that you have acquired through reading books, articles, journals, traveling, and etc. So that is transition from Eurocentric to African mindset. Consequences of unplugging. Let's get into that, right? So we talked about the truth, sharing your truth or sharing the truth, exposing the lies, right? Changing your world perspective, looking at the world differently, right? Throwing away or ridding yourself of all of the misinformation and lies, right? And sharing that with your friends and sharing that with your families. These are some of the consequences that comes behind, and even not even sharing it, just you walking now in your truth. You know what I'm saying? Your renewedness makes people uncomfortable, but consequences of unplugging is isolation and rejection. Preparing for isolation as changed perspectives may lead to losing friends and family. I'm here to tell y'all, this is what's going to happen, right? Celebrating holidays rooted in colonization may be abandoned. Absolutely. You're going to abandon a lot of these so-called holidays that we're being conditioned to celebrate that has nothing to do with us as African people. Traditional practices lacking ancestral culture roots may be discarded. So a lot of particular things that you may have been brought up in, the synagogue, the church, the mosque, you may no longer prescribe or have the interest to be a practitioner and attend those functions anymore, because now they are lacking your ancestral cultural roots, right? Threats to the status quo. Awakening individual becomes a threat to those still in the matrix. Awakening individuals become threats to those still in the matrix. Keep that in mind. Often labeled crazy, militant, or radical for questioning established narratives, challenging system power structures, and institutionalized racism, right? So be prepared to be called crazy, militant, or radical, because now you are questioning the status quo of the established narrative that has been pushed upon us, right? Shifting standards, dismissing perceptions of whiteness as a standard of beauty, right? Challenging Eurocentric definitions of intelligence and morality. Revaluing African culture, aesthetics, and knowledge shifting, right? Empowering through self-education. This is a quote from Carter G. Wilson I like to use all the time. And he's saying, Black people, you have to get two educations, one that is given to you and the one that you give yourself. Self-giving education fosters independence and freedom, contrast with dependency fostered by externally imposing education, right? That is important, right? plugging into your ancestral power, reconnecting for true transformation, the need for reconnection. Unplugging is merely the initiative phase. The subsequent and crucial step is actively connecting with ancestral power. This involves replacing the rejected falsehood with authentic truth to achieve truth transformation, or a true transformation. Why this matters: reconnecting to ancestral wisdom provides guidance and contemporary challenges. Embracing ancestral power enables full transformation from programming to a conscious being, right? It no longer gives you that low self-esteem, right? Because through education, through the religion, it has definitely lowered our self-esteem, right? So now it gives you, it also empowers you, it inspires you, it shows you have the capability and the ability to do any and everything, to achieve, to contribute as our ancestors once did. Methods of reconnection. Let's get into it. All right, the methods for ancestral reconnection. Pathways to ancestral power. Developing a spiritual lens is 1. Embracing courage and lineage, 2. Cultivating self-pride and love, 4. Reawakening the DNA memory. Developing a spiritual lens. Cultivating an inner vision that allows one to discern deception, recognize manipulation, and gain spiritual clarity. Embracing courage and lineage. Ancestral power provides courage to forge one's own path. Connection to the divine intelligence within the lineage. Appreciation for the ancestor resilience. Cultivating self-pride and love. Fostering a deep sense of pride and love for oneself and one's people. Viewing Africans as the origins of humanity, wisdom, and the innovators or innovation. Reawakening the DNA memory. Honoring ancestors through meditation or inherent greatness. Study ancestral languages and symbols. Living by ancestral spiritual systems. Benefits of ancestral reconnection. Reclaiming your inherent power. Plugging into the ancestral power yields profound benefits that transform individuals from programming beings into conscious creators. This reconnection represents a shift from the mental enslavement to the spiritual awakening. 1, inception, enhance perception. 2, empower resilience. 3, increasing self-wealth. And 4, transformation. These are the benefits of the ancestral reconnection. Unplugging from the Eurocentric Matrix and plugging into the ancestral power, right? Unplug, relearn, reclaim, reconnect, right? Unplug is disconnecting from the Eurocentric Matrix. Relearning, rediscovering African ancestral truth. 3, reclaim identity and heritage. Reconnect, connect with ancestral power. The continuous journey. Awakening is continuous. initially lonely, but ultimately revealing profound connection to the ancestors. Recognizing that you are a continuation of the story spanned 1,000 years ago. Please keep that in mind. The ultimate goal, transforming from programmed beings into conscious creators. True freedom begins in the mind, making mental enslavement impossible once achieved. This is a fact. The inherent power lies within one's blood, history, and DNA, one's ancestry power, right? So that concludes, let me get off. That concludes the presentation, right? Didn't want to do nothing too big, just a little something to prepare y'all for the article. The article goes a little bit more in depth, but the walk again that I do when I'm in the environment, I like to have some nice discussions with the people while I'm walking. And by me saying I wanted to do this article, I also wanted to put together a visual, you know what I'm saying, which is this pre-recorded video, and put together a presentation for the people. So now you have a visual that has some information, and then you have the in-depth on this topic by going to Kofi Piesie written composition to pull up the article and read the full article in depth. And again, it's not a long article. It's like maybe a 13, 14-minute read. They want to make this video long, so this could be something you can get in, look at, and get out, right? But again, I talked about the process of unplugging and what that looking like. And one of the processes or the steps or methods is unlearning, right? And then relearning. So let me share here. Let's go here. Add this to the thing. And this is a document that I prepared that will also be in the article. This is not the article. This is just a list. This is my essential reading list for Black intellectuals, development, and consciousness. Again, this is just a list, my essential reading list for Black intellectual development and consciousness, right? So this is a list of books. You know what I'm saying? I got them sected off. Section 1, and you can get it once you get the article. This document will be at the bottom of the article, right? And you can also reach out to me, and I can also send you this article in a PDF form if you like. I mean, this list in the PDF form, but this also will be a part of the article, which will be the last section of the article. But I have African-centered thinking and foundational scholars, right? So this is section 1, right? So it kind of goes into what I talk about the 19th and 20th century warrior scholars, as I would call them, right? So it's a long list. You see there. There's another page right there. And then at the bottom, we go into section 2, Pan-Africanism and Revolutionary Thought. These are books right here. Go to the next page. This is the list of those, right? Then we go into 3, which is the make sure that I'm on the right one because I'm trying to keep up with it. So it goes into the literary and cultural builders, right? It's section 3, right? So we go into section 3, then section 4 is universal chemical press, chemic press, and educational research text. So these are some of the books right here. And we go into section 5, contemporary and supplemental work. And then we go into 6, my recommended study practices. Right? So let me get off of here. So this document, all right. So this essential reading list for Black intellectual development and consciousness. And it's a lot of great books on here, y'all. Seen it was like 5 or 6 pages. I see that I have to correct one thing in here on one of the sections, but it will be updated when the article is available on Kofi Piesie, which when you hear this video or see this video, you will definitely see, you'll be able to have access to the article on Kofi Piesie written composition blog site, right? So again, man, peace and power. I hope this was a little informative or more informative and also build the anticipation to go definitely get the article. Go to Same Tree Different Brands Publishing.com, tap into some of my various books that I have out, tap into some of my colleagues' books, tap into some of my business partners, and I co-written some self-help books. But definitely tap in. You know, there's self-help books, but you know, my lane is definitely historical, you know what I'm saying? Historical fiction. So definitely definitely tap in historical nonfiction, historical fiction, self-help, mentorship. Those are, you know, my lane right there. But definitely tap into some of those things. And if you need or looking for a publishing company that's a one-stop shop, you don't have to go to various places to stop to try to get a book published, right? Tap into Same Tree Different Branch Publishing. That is my publishing company, and we'll definitely get you in there, man. So again, man, peace and power, and we out of here, man. I'll holler at y'all. Y'all have a great evening or a great morning, a great evening, and a great afternoon. Peace.